Well, hopefully you guys made it back from 2014 all the way to 2015. The Tony and Josh show sort of did. Josh is feeling a bit under the weather tonight, but we're going to forge ahead, and hopefully if I get sick, I can do the same thing. Not tonight, but sometime in the future. So
only 1.5 made it back.
sit back, and we'll be ready here in a moment to yap along. Oh, you know what they did change, though? Something changed on Skype, so now your picture's not up in the corner, so I don't have a video feed for you.
Oh.
Man, I was getting ready to start cursing here on the show.
Oh.
I mean, they changed the interface. They changed the way it's displayed.
Oh, Skype?
Yeah.
The new version? Yeah, there's a lot of things that changed around on that,
so,
just as far as appearance and stuff goes.
So all the work that I did setting it up so that it would be positioned properly, all that changed. Oh, that sounded bad.
What was that? You just kind of like faded out there for a second.
Not me.
That wasn't me either.
Okay. Let's see, I had to adjust the Skype audio whenever was on with Dan a while ago. That conference call that I thought would be about 5 minutes went to about an hour and something, because we had Craig on there and David, who is getting ready to start a Nissan podcast.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to guess he drives an Xterra.
Yes. One of those things when you don't know, when you don't have a point of reference, it's kind of hard to remember things that are mentioned. He had the same kind of experience with forums that we've seen or had when he had a YJ. He said, I guess it was kind of natural for the Nissan folks to be kind and helpful to each other, and then he said he wanted to sell the YJ once he went over to a Jeep forum and saw all the crap that everybody had to put up with. Okay, so I think everything is working. Let me go over to the show notes. I have those two items that I was going to talk about.
Were you planning on reading that whole Harvard one?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to kind of, edit it into something more interesting, funny, shorter being the key word.
Oh, completely off topic, and only because it just now popped in my head. I have talked my buddy's wife into going to the mall with me and recording people's reactions to questions like, where do you listen to Tony and Josh at? Or when was the last time you listened to the XJ Talk Show? And we're gonna have some fun with that, I think, here very soon. She had posted up something from YouTube where, you know, it was kind of like a guy on the street, you know, your man on the street, but he's like narrating people's lives for them as things happen. And it's just, you know, 30 seconds here, 15 seconds there, something like that. And she thought I'd get a kick out of it. Says I need to start doing that. And I told her, well, that you know, reminds me of something that I've kind of had on the back burner for a while, which is this. Mm-hmm. And she, you know, gave me a page of LOLs and said that she's down for that anytime. So, well,
that would be fun.
Yeah,
it would really be funny.
She's got a great sense of humor, and yeah, that's right in her wheelhouse, so to speak. Do we have any voicemails?
I know I don't have any ready. I was going to look so that we could introduce one and I could put it in post.
Oh, okay.
Speak pipe. My goodness. I'm going to mute you for a second and see. You'd let me know, wave at me if you hear that noise. So we've got two Nikki G's from 2 days ago. One's a minute, 30 seconds. The other one's 34 seconds. So let's just say, but first let's listen to these voicemails from Nikki G. That's strange. One is labeled Nikki G. The second one is Nikki G again. I wonder how it came up with that label. All right, I haven't heard that bad chord sound yet, so I'm going to unmute you.
I don't know what that was. I mean, the first time that you said you thought you might have heard something, I had just begun typing, and the next time you heard something, I had just started. I just opened up a new tab and was heading over to TonyandJosh.com.
Reminds me, I need to. Oh, there it goes again.
I just started typing.
Let's see. I'm going to pause that. Okay. So, did you see anything about the Allison Rosen Ace Band thing?
No, I didn't. I didn't keep up with my podcasting much over the last couple of weeks, so it was news to me. I opened up the show notes yesterday today, and saw that, and I was like, oh wow, huge news. So I haven't even followed up with it or anything like that. So I don't know anything about it really.
All right. Well, you can do the general people that don't know reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I know who she is, and of course I'm familiar with the show and her show as well. Not as familiar as you are there, but no, I should be able to add some color commentary here.
Always. Let me turn on the light. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Green screen back up and colorful gray shirt on. Let's see. So, trying to remember how all this stuff works. Your head is chopped.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. Like no hair. There you go. I mean, I got you on the screen, but I don't think it's the same place it was, but I can see you.
All right. As long as there's some sort of fleshy blob in the corner making some noise, that's all that matters, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm just going to read a little bit of the Harvard thing, and then we can discuss. Oh,
just a story. I skimmed through it while I was, adding my own stuff in here. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. I just that's a lot to read.
Yeah. No, I put it all there because I didn't want to be missing something that I thought would be fun to have. So is the Hasbro thing going to be last? Are we going to go in the order that you have there? Allison, Hasbro, Harvard, and the next time? Or is the next time going to be the last one?
No, I'm going to move that.
We say them in reverse order, right?
Yeah. Well, no, we say them in the right order.
I thought we said them in reverse order, and then when we get to the last one that we read, that's the first one we start talking about. Basically, go up the list. Yeah, I don't know if my top 5 is very funny, but I laughed.
No, I thought that was pretty good.
Okay. So we'll go me, you.
No, I'm moving here.
Sorry?
I'm running slow.
That's all right. I sent you a couple of more This Week in Jeep things.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
That was from XJ Jake, I believe. Okay, so yours, you'll go first, so I'll read the list.
All right.
Like that. The Allison thing, I like the way you worded that.
Oh, yeah. People who are familiar with who she is and her show are going to get that. All right, are we ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it.
Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh show may not and most likely is not suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now here they are. Tony and Josh.
Well, welcome to the Tony and Josh Show 2015. That's one more than 2014, right, Josh?
I was told there'd be no math.
But it's just one more. It's like helpings. It's like, give me seconds. Did you have any seconds for New Year's Day? Did you have black-eyed peas? Is that a tradition up there in the Northeast?
Didn't have any black-eyed peas, but I did have way too much to eat, and more than once.
Yeah, and Josh is playing injured tonight, so we have to thank him for being here. You can tell in his best Barry White that he is getting along as best he can with us here with a head cold. And oh my God, what a cold it must be with that melon.
Yeah, I definitely got one of those melon heads, and yeah, this thing's hitting me pretty hard. So I'm going to do my best, guys, to keep my voice in check for you. Got some tea, I got some other fluids here I'm going to be pumping into me, and we'll see if we can make it through the show. Glad you guys made it. This is episode 53. If you guys are new to the Tony and Josh Show, we're here to inform, entertain, maybe even give you a laugh or two if we're doing our job right. We've searched the interwebs high and low and found these earth-shaking stories to bring to you guys tonight.
So, my goodness, what do we have on 2015's list? Let's see, it's Hasbro is now making Play-Doh adult toys. Oh, say it's not so, Josh. Say it's not so.
It's not what you think. It's not what you think.
Harvard University has some ideas on health care. Oh, and if they would only have shared that. Oh, wait a minute. They did. We're going to see if it's sitting very well since the White House took their advice with the Harvard faculty. And, this certainly can't be true. Allison Rosen is losing best friends. How could that be possible? Oh, yeah, and one smoker steps out a little too far for his puff. Now, that's got to be an interesting one because I know that smokers go and do things in many different ways and many different styles just to try to get that fix. Josh, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad. You guys are going to definitely want to stay tuned for that story. We're going to give you all the details, but first, I want you guys to know that you guys can connect with us a number of different ways. You can call and join in on the live show or tweet us during the show at Tony and Josh Show through the Twitter, or you can watch the show live and chat with us live. That's right. You can actually chat with us live during the live broadcast every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Central, over at TonyandJosh.com. Now, on with the show.
One smoker steps out a little too far. I hope this isn't a boat thing or a train thing.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those, take a long walk off a short pier. Not quite that bad. But, no, this could be the tale of one smoker who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or how dumb are these cops anyways? You guys choose. Mark Moody of Manhattan is suing the city of New York for nearly $500,000 over an incident this month that left him handcuffed and dumped in a psych ward. Moody, who smokes on his window ledge on the second floor, to minimize the smell of smoke in his apartment, was having a little puff earlier this month when a police car screeched to a stop below him. Two police officers got out and asked Moody if he was about to commit suicide, to which the 40-year-old lawyer replied, "If I was going to commit suicide, this would be a pretty dumb place to do it. If I jumped from here, I'd just sprain my ankle." Police insisted that the man come down to talk, of course, but Moody refused, which led to the arrival of 4 more police cars and 3 ambulances, SWAT team, and I think the Army even showed up or something like that. But then, of course, that led to police storming his apartment, handcuffing him, and dragging him by force to a local psychiatric hospital. Taken to Beth Israel Medical Center, the on-duty psychiatrist spoke to Moody for all of about 3 minutes before writing discharge papers and apologizing on behalf of the city. At least the doctor had some common sense in all this. Jeez.
Wow, that sounds like a long thing, a lot of stuff to go through for a smoke. Do you think maybe that was the liberals trying to encourage him to stop smoking?
They've spotted him by satellite now.
That's just sad. Well, anyway, that's good. I wonder if the doctor was a smoker and that's how he realized what was going on.
The guy was a lawyer, so I'm sure he's well-spoken enough and obviously was not, exuding any sort of suicidal tendencies. I'm sure that there's a question there that, any psych ward has for people in that case. They come in because of a cop saw them trying to commit suicide, or maybe they jumped off a bridge and they survived or something. I'm sure there's a tear sheet that says, these are the first 3 questions, and if the red flag on any one of these, well, into the straitjacket you go. Chances are this guy was well-spoken enough and obviously wasn't exuding any signs that he was suicidal. And doctor saw all that and said, yep, You're good to go.
So now I'm wondering how accurate this story is. I mean, come to think of it, it was a lawyer trying to commit suicide, and somebody stopped him. So,
Point. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I think you may have just debunked it.
We may have to check with Snopes on this one, folks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth.
So here's something we don't have to check with Snopes on because, my gosh, it's all over the internet. If you're into podcasting and you've followed some number one podcasting shows, some recent events have occurred with Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Well, I shouldn't say your new best friend because that's a podcast that she does. We're talking about the popular podcast with Adam Carolla, the Adam Carolla podcast. For those of you that may know, maybe are listening and maybe already know about this, Allison was fired from the Adam Carolla podcast. And it was announced Monday by the Ace Man on the most recent podcast, or the first podcast of 2015, I believe. And basically he had just wonderful things to say about Allison and that she was all that and a bag of chips, but she just didn't seem to be sidekick material. And it only took him 4 years to figure it out.
Yeah, I know, yeah. She replaced Teresa Strausser, which is his former female sidekick, who had been with him for quite a number of years as well. Maybe he's just got a 4-year itch. I don't know. And every 4 years, he's got to dump one, brunette podcast co-host for another. So we're going to be curious to see what he does to replace her, if he replaces her. I know he's got a pretty strong team over there. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does.
Well, some of the feedback that I saw on Twitter was not very good for the Ace Man because according to an interview that Allison did for a blog, I believe it was, she informed everybody that she was fired over the holidays via email.
Ooh, that's a bad way to go.
She commented that it was punctuated and had spaces and correct spelling, so she figured somebody wrote it for Adam. Which isn't a dig. It really is funny because he himself has often mentioned that he doesn't know how to punctuate or spell very well, and he often dictates to people for sending out emails and things. So she was serious, but it was a bit fun, a bit behind the scenes, or probably not even behind the scenes. I believe they've spoken about it numerously on the podcast. So, but it was quite humorous. And here at the I wanted to say Extra Talk Show. Here at the Tony and Josh Show, we actually have come up with the top 5 reasons Allison was fired from Adam's podcast. And Josh, help me out with this one.
Yeah, so we're going to go do these, obviously 5 to 1. We're going to do a little David Letterman type of thing here.
Who?
Well, yeah, he's not on the air anymore either, now is he? Well, top 10 list, but we're going to cut it in half because we only do things half-ass around here. Well, number 5 reason that Allison Rosen was fired from the Adam Carolla podcast. She refused to drive her company car, said sitting next to and in a Corolla was just too much.
See, they have similar names. That's why it's funny. Anyway, Adam overheard Allison making nasally sounds in the dressing room and didn't realize it's part of her hair straightening ritual.
Oh, jeez. The number 3 reason why Allison Rosen was fired from the Adam Carolla podcast. She was asked to point out the cylinder on LS1 engine, and she simply stated, next to the ovaries. Because that's not correct.
It's a cylinder in the ovaries. Okay. Anyway, do you know who wrote these jokes? Anyway, so number 2.
He should be fired by email.
Yes. Demanded the bathroom, said putting up supplied letters W-O each time on the door she needed to use the bathroom was unacceptable. Because it's like men, whoa, men. See, it's like a sausage fest down there at the Ace Studios. It's all guys. That's so.
Yeah, she is the only chick next to Adam's wife. But, which I don't think she's around all that much. And the number 1 reason why Allison Rosen was fired from the Adam Carolla podcast. Short, smart-ass comments during the Adam Carolla podcast every 15 minutes were funnier than the prior 15-minute nasally rant.
Yeah, because he would just talk and and every once in a while you'd hear this little shot in the dark, and it would be hilarious, and you'd have to go back and rewind so you could get it, because Allison would really come in there with some good smart-ass comments. So, and
yeah, she was a good sidekick, and I think the choice is made. His decisions are his own, and I'm sure he has reasons and all that. And I've got nothing but respect for fellow podcasters, both Allison Rosen and Adam Carolla. So, nothing but best wishes to both of them and all the success.
Well, and I personally, I've watched Allison Rosen way back when she was doing Ustream and Red Eye, and so I've been a fan of Allison's for many years, and I never cared for her on the Adam Carolla show, because I went from like 100% Allison to about 5% Allison. And, obviously it's Adam's show, and Adam should be the voice of it, but it didn't help me. And then there was some very derogatory things that he would say about her. It was zip it and then C-U-N-T. Spell it, because kids can't, look it up and have the computer pronounce it for them. And I never did care for that. I thought it was wrong, and I don't think that it was, if it's beyond make me a sandwich, it's too far. So... I just thought, and it just didn't jive with the person that I had seen so many times on Ustream, and I just had to stop watching it. Also, too, I was there to watch Allison and listen to Allison and hear her funny stuff, and I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing Adam Carolla, so I stopped watching that show or listening to that show a long time ago. Now, interestingly, in the article that I read about this, where Allison gave an interview, the website, and I don't know that this is accurate, but I found it very interesting. According to that website, or the blog that I read about this interview, Allison is Your New Best Friend, that podcast that was formerly an ACE sponsored podcast, no longer, but will continue. She has left with her show intact, so she will continue that show. She just won't be recording it at ACE Studios. Anyway, that was number 11 on iTunes. Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend was number 11 on iTunes. So if that Sidekick show was number 11, can you imagine, or can you guess, Josh, what the Adam Carolla podcast, the Adam Carolla show, where it was on the iTunes list?
I'm assuming number 1. I mean, he's always claimed that he's number 1, so I don't know.
Number 32.
Ooh, there's a few more downloads heading her way. That's interesting. So,
according to this, she was a number at the time of the writing of the blog, which would have been last week sometime, or earlier this week. I guess it was probably Monday or Tuesday when this thing came out. Come to think of it, number 11, Sidekick show number 11, primary show, the big show with all the guns and all the rest of that stuff, number 32. So, I don't know. You said something interesting earlier about Teresa Strausser, I believe was her name. Was she only with the show for 4 years?
I don't know exactly on that. It could have been. It seems like it was about that long from the time he made the move from terrestrial radio to satellite or to the internet. Mm-hmm. So it seems like it was about that long. I'm sure I could spend a few minutes and come up with the actual figures. Okay.
I just thought it was interesting. Maybe it was like a 4-year itch or something. But anyway, Gina Grad, who's very funny, a nice lady, on another podcast, had tried out for that position when for the Sidekick, the news girl, whatever you want to call it, on Adam's show. She had tried out, and I watched her while she was on that show, trying out for that week or 2 days or whatever it was. And which ultimately Allison got the job. I've also read that Gina Grad will be replacing Allison.
Wow.
So we'll have to wait and see, but this is all hearsay, all except for the firing part, because Allison got fired. But I think that it's going to help her career out immensely, being associated with the Ace Man for 4 years and getting her voice out there, not only on the show, but also on her show. And I think more importantly, her show is going to make a real big difference to her career. I think she's going to be a big podcaster, even more so because she'll be able to devote all her time to her show.
Well, very good. And like I said earlier, nothing but the best of luck to both of them.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
I wonder if she's going to have health coverage with her new job.
Well, I hope so, and I guess everybody has to. I've been hearing these commercials. I've been out in the garage a lot this past weekend, and then Monday evening finishing up working on my vehicle, my back and forth to work vehicle, and I heard several times commercials about the Affordable Care Act, and they said they had somebody come on there and say, "Oh, I don't have the money right now to get health insurance and blah 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 blah. I got a lot of bills to pay after Christmas and blah blah blah," and they fade into the announcer and they say, "You may not realize, but it is required for you to have health insurance, and you will be penalized by the IRS if you do not sign up for it. Make sure to sign up now with Humana." And I'm thinking to myself, every time I heard that company explain to us that the government is requiring us to have health insurance,
dating, if you will,
just pissed me off more. There is the government has no right, should have no right to dictate whether we have health insurance or not. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I think everybody should do it, but it's a freedom. It's not a right for you to be able to go and buy health insurance if you think it's the right thing. I mean, what's next? Are we going to have to start making sure that we eat enough apples, or we drink enough water, or we have to register for how much salt tablets we get each week because we can't have too much salt in our diet? I mean, this is a very bad precedence that has been set. So
I think that's kind of the basis for the whole argument of, the Obamacare is unconstitutional, because I don't think that it is constitutional I don't think it's legal that they can mandate, demand that every last U.S. citizen have health coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it. It's if you get sick or injured, you want to be able to, not have the taxpayers fork out the bill for your coverage, for getting taken care of and all that. But hey, I think that's what's happening anyways now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, because instead of us forking it out when you get sick, we're just going to fork it out every week or 2 weeks that we get paid. And instead of it being going to pay the bills of the people that weren't insured, we're now funding the government, and the government gets to decide where they spend that money, whether it's health care on somebody or whether it's for a $50,000 toilet seat. So I would much rather spend the money for what needs to be spent than what the government's going to do with it, because I don't know about you guys, but the government never does spend money appropriately. Well, one of the groups that helped get Obamacare to where it is today was the fine folks at Harvard. And you know what? Harvard's ideas on healthcare have hit home, and they've hit home hard. So for years, Harvard's experts on health economics and policy have advised presidents and Congress on how to provide health benefits to the nation at a reasonable cost. But those remedies now being applied to the Harvard faculty and the professors are in an uproar.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Members of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, the heart of the 378-year-old university, voted overwhelmingly in November to oppose changes that would require them and thousands of their Harvard employee coworkers to pay more for their health care. The university says the increases are in part a result of the Obama administration Affordable Care Act. Which many Harvard professors championed. The faculty vote came too late to stop the cost increases from taking effect this month, and the anger on campus remains focused on questions that are agitating many workplaces. How should the burden of health costs be shared by employers and employees? If the employees have to bear more of the cost, will they skimp on medical necessary care, curtail the use of less valuable services, or both? Harvard is a microcosm of what's happening in the healthcare in the country.
It's true. So it's a good cross section of exactly what's going on. I mean, we just switched our healthcare providers at my work for the fourth or fifth time in the 8 years that I've been there, and it's the cost of what I'm coming out of pocket now for my share has increased, and my coverage has gone down a little bit. I certainly don't have as good of a plan as I used to, and on top of that, my deductibles now have never been higher.
Yep.
Thanks Obamacare. Really appreciate that.
Well, and thanks Harvard professors and faculty that help promote Obamacare. And I don't know, were you lying to yourself when you thought that it was actually going to be cheaper? Did you really think that the government could get involved, and because they're mandating everybody get health insurance, that it was going to be cheaper?
Yeah, it wasn't me that was lying to me. It was those in power that were lying to me. Yeah, no, I saw through this early and often that this was a bad idea. It was coming down the pipeline. There's no way this is going to work the way that they're saying it's going to, without the entire structure of our nation going to full on socialism.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And sure enough, proof's in the pudding. Here we are. In a new year, and several months of this, being enacted, and you hear it everywhere you go. Healthcare is on the rise. People are having to drop their healthcare; they can't afford it anymore, or they're having to drop it for themselves and just have the kids because important than your own health, and that's what it comes down to, and it's a damn shame. You know
what the loophole is? I mean, you have to pay a penalty if you weren't with the IRS, because now the IRS is an arm of prosecution. If you don't do what the government tells you to do, they'll penalize you financially. But the loophole is to not have health care, and then since there's no pre-existing condition issues any longer, when somebody does need health care, that's when you sign up. And pay your penalty, because that's going to be cheaper if you can make it to November without having to go to the doctor, and then then pay the penalty. You've made money, and it's just insane. Yeah, it's just insane. It is a bad idea, and it has been changed many times with the stroke of a pen. As Obama just signs little things, I'm going to change this, I'm going to put a pause here, and because elections are coming up. And, folks, if you got to make a change to your signature legislation just so that you can hopefully keep Democrats in office, there's a problem with it. What was it? 70% of the people did not want this. 70% of the people. And that dingbat senator stands up there and says, well, we have to pass it before we know what's in it.
Yeah, because the bill they wrote was like 60,000 pages long or some ridiculous amount. There's no possible way that anybody without a Harvard law degree, could make heads or tails out of it. I mean, because the kind of language that are in these things is just freaking ridiculous. I mean, you heard congressmen and senators saying, there's no way I can read this. I don't have the manpower. I don't have the time. I certainly don't have the background to understand half of what's in this. I mean, I've heard so many interviews of higher up officials saying that this was just a joke. The way that it was pushed through and the way that it was brought forth, it was just an absolute joke.
So you kids, whenever you're attending college and you're listening to your very liberal professor and teachers telling you things, do whatever you need to do to get the grade in the class. But remember that these folks may not know what they're talking about, because they're working in a microcosm that is protected. I guess, with tenure and stuff, you're almost looking at a socialistic type of environment, because these people can, once you're tenured, you can pretty much say and do whatever you want to do, and there's nothing bad going to happen to you. You're funded for the rest of your life. Oh, and the other thing to keep in mind, when people are doing these studies, if they have a brilliant idea that red is red and black is black, or white is white and black is black, they're probably not going to be funded for their study. But if they say white is black, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Let's send them let's give them some grant money so they can study that. So I think that a lot of things are set up for us to be lied to, because if we're not lied to, you don't get funding. If you don't get funding, what do they say on Ghostbusters? If you haven't worked in the real world, they want results. So just remember that, you kids, when you're out there in school and you're listening to this bullshit, if it smells like bullshit, it is. And if you vote for it, that's what you're going to smell like.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Speaking of smells.
Yeah. Well, look, we've got, without getting too deep into politics and stuff here, we've got Republicans now owning the Senate and the House, and Obama is saying that he's going to use his executive power more than ever before.
Well, he's going to have to, isn't he?
Well, yeah, you'd think there's going to be more vetoes happening. It's just it's going to be a gridlock, I think, for the next 2 years. And for the next year.
Harry Reid protected him a lot from having to veto things. He just wouldn't send things up.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go from the Republicans being the what did they say, the Congress of No, the Republicans of the Party of No, to the president, the man of veto. So we're going to see exactly who it was that wasn't willing to work. I have never seen such an arrogant prick as I have seen in this president. He thinks he can do things with his pen, and he has gotten a mandate from the people by the voting in of this Congress, and he is saying, screw you. I'm not going to go along with it. I mean, Clinton was even smart enough to do that.
Speaking of big pricks, Hasbro, the toy company that we all know and love, is really putting the O in Play-Doh.
And oh no.
Oh yeah.
Or
no is right.
Oh.
So Hasbro is replacing a toy found in Play-Doh's Sweet Shop Cake Mountain set after consumers complained it resembles a certain male body part. According to Hasbro's website, the, quote, two-piece extruder was part of a toy that allows kids to create and decorate Play-Doh cakes. The Sweet Shop Cake Mountain playset for kids 3 and up and costs about $20. Hasbro has been getting a lot of consumer feedback about the extruder tool in their Play-Doh Cake Mountain playset and are in the process of updating all future Play-Doh products with a different tool. Hasbro posted on its Play-Doh Facebook page earlier last week, quote, should any consumer want a replacement extruder for this item, they can contact Hasbro's customer service department at 1-800-327-8264. Short, concise, sweet, to the point. Sure, why not? Some commenters on the Facebook page said a replacement was not needed, and Mommy is doing just fine in the bedroom with her other one that she's got. One customer in specific wrote, I'm not getting a replacement. I think it's crazy. All people have to turn everything into something sexual. All I have to say is, Hasbro, thank you for erecting a new design to penetrate the success of your business model. If you guys would like to see what Play-Doh is packing below the belt line, you can go to TonyandJosh.com. We'll have a picture up there for you.
I can't believe this, Josh. I mean, if nothing else, somebody on the line where they were making these things was giggling their ass off, and they were probably chasing each other around with them.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
I mean, all this thing needs is, well, if it was 3 times as long, it would be, they would use it in, I can't remember the guy's name, Italian guy, mustache. I can't remember his name.
Ron Jeremy?
Yeah, Ron Jeremy. They could use it in a Ron Jeremy bad porno.
Yeah, no, guys, this thing is, I mean, there is no mistaking it. I mean, what this resembles, it is very much very phallic, and it's it's like, yeah, how the hell did that pass the QC? You know, it's like, yeah, that looks good. Let's go with that one. And instead of, this other one looks more like a pastry squirter thingy-majigger. No, let's use the one that looks like that thing. So no, guys, we'll have the picture up at TonyandJosh.com. This story is all over the interwebs, and there's a lot of people that are not only up in arms about this, but also having a lot of fun with it. So by all means, let the jokes and memes fly.
So we got a few seconds here left, Josh. What did you do for New Year's Eve? Did you set off a bunch of fireworks? Did you lose any eyebrows?
No, I didn't actually. I was away from the house. This is the first time in probably 6 or 7 years that I've spent New Year's away from the house, and I was with some friends, and we were enjoying some libations and just having a good time. So no, I spent New Year. I rang in the New Year amongst friends in a very very nice atmosphere and having a good time.
Well, good. I'm really surprised that you could pry yourself away from fireworks. I know Did you really enjoy that?
I was really upset because, it was like 10:30 rolls around. I'm clear on the other side of town, and it dawns on me that there's no freaking way that I'm going to be able to blow anything up. And it's the first time in probably a decade or more that I haven't lit some fuses on New Year's Eve. So a little upset with that. But that, you know what that means? That means that I'm just going to have that much more to celebrate our nation's independence here in another 6-7 months.
Oh my goodness! I don't know if you could stand it that long. Now, I saw something recently. Huh?
I said I might not. I do have a birthday coming up in 3 months, so I might have to celebrate.
Well, maybe you'll get a little Play-Doh kit or something. So, I don't know if you've been watching Right This Minute. It's basically like a YouTube video where they have 4 people that talk about the videos and react to them and stuff. I've been very much enjoying Beth Troutman, who I think is the main person on that show, because her reactions are just hilarious. There was this one guy had one of those big zits, or what do you call those things that get under the skin?
Boil? Cyst?
No, not cyst.
Cardicle?
Cyst. And he had a cyst for years, and he decided he was going to pop it on, drain it on YouTube. And she literally started dry heaving into a trash can. It was so funny to watch. I felt horrible for her, but it was just so funny to watch. And she just kept watching. I mean, between heaves, she'd look at the thing and, Wah! So anyway, it's a very funny show. I've been enjoying it. And the other night they were showing an episode. And, of course, it was New Year's Eve-ish and around the first of the year show, so they had to have something with fireworks. Well, these guys were launching fireworks off, and I don't know if it was one of the mortars or not, but it was something big. And they launched it up into the air, and I guess they had the box of 100 of these fireworks right next close to, not so close that it would set it off by, the thing taking off and the sparks going on the back of it would set it off, but close enough. The rocket went up, hit a power line, bounced, came straight back down and into the box.
Of course it did. 2 points.
And a huge explosion as nearly 100 of these things went off simultaneously occurred. You couldn't see, it was so bright. It was a huge explosion. Everybody was fine. Nobody got burned. But what's the odds? You have to wonder, what's the odds? And, Josh, what's the odds we're going to be here next week?
Yeah, pretty good, I would say. We're back from our holiday break, and we're coming back with a vengeance, guys. So all the good stuff over at TonyandJosh.com. Of course, live show broadcasting, not only on YouTube, but over at TonyandJosh.com as well. Make sure you guys are joining in on the fun. We hope you guys are joining us for our next show. And make sure you're telling a friend as well.
Yep, iTunes, Tuned In, Zune. You remember that? Microsoft Zune. Poor Microsoft. And like Josh said, over at TonyandJosh.com. Oh, and don't forget, live show every Thursday, 10 p.m. If you go over to TonyandJosh.com, right there at the top of the web page, you will see a little video that you can press play on. That will be the live show. And then right below that, there's some words and text and things where you have to read and type and stuff. That's the chat area. So you can actually get in there and chat with us live and in color. Well, it doesn't have to be in color. It does have to be live. So,
sorry, Tony, I'm going to have to correct you. I know I'm never supposed to correct you.
Never correct the host.
But it is Wednesday, guys, now. That's it, guys. Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Central. We always have a lot of fun. You can find the entire show archived there for your viewing, listening pleasure over at TonyandJosh.com. It's 100% free. And, of course, make sure you guys sign up and get all the reminders and all the cool stuff as well delivered to you. We don't spam you. Don't worry about any of that stuff.
You know, it just dawned on me. This is Wednesday. I was thinking tomorrow's Friday. Damn it, Josh. You ruined the whole thing for me. I would have been happy all day long. Yeah, it is Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. We do another show on Thursdays at 10 p.m., and that's what I'm thinking about. I'm getting ahead of myself again. Josh, you know what's coming up next month?
Valentine's Day.
The Walking Dead returns.
That's right. Yeah, we are just about literally a month away. It's returning February 8th. So that means for the week after that, guys, we're going to be bringing back to you Tony and Josh's recap of The Walking Dead. So make sure you guys write that down on your calendar. Save the date. We're going to be coming back with our Walking Dead segment. It's a bonus segment we do after the show, after the Tony and Josh show. You guys definitely are, if you're fans of The Walking Dead, you definitely want to be in on that.
So until next week, and gosh, I'm ready to start talking about The Walking Dead right away. I may have to go back and listen to some of The Walking Dead bonus episodes that we did before the Christmas break. But anyway, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
And boy, you were Johnny on the spot. I scrolled down and I saw that you already have the thing, the little promo for this week.
Yeah, we're all set.
Ready to go. So we'll say goodnight to you guys. Josh is not feeling very well, so we're going to try to blast this thing out and let him go get in bed. I guess you're going to go to work tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it another shot. I went in today and ended up leaving a couple hours early.
Oh, okay.
And I came home and ended up actually taking a nap. And I don't ever take naps unless I'm sick. And and sure enough, yeah, I laid down for a few hours tonight, and I needed it very much so. But yeah, I can tell I've got a fever and stuff. I'm in here in my studio just with a cold sweat, and yeah. So
is it getting better, or are you on the
call.
worst side of it now?
What's that?
Are you getting better, or are you on the worst part of it right now?
No, it's on the rise. I mean, this hit me like a ton of bricks last night. I kind of had a little tickle in my throat for a couple of days. Some sinus stuff going on. I just kind of figured it was, late season allergies, which has never really happened before. But they are saying ragweed and mold is never been higher than right now, and so I just attributed it to that. And I woke up. Last night I started coughing as I went to bed, and it just got worse and worse throughout the night. Actually, got up and took some NyQuil at one point in time, and ended up sleeping through the rest of the night. But yeah, today at work has just been miserable. It was just miserable. So I got a little bit extra rest today, which really helped. I'm gonna go in tomorrow and give it the old college try one more time, and maybe have to leave early again. We'll see. But I hate calling in sick. I absolutely hate it, and I don't like to do that. But I've got sick days if that's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. I gotta use them. But I've got some pretty high profile projects that I'm working on right now, and I would just hate to leave those in somebody else's hands with where they're at in the design process.
Yeah. Well, remember too, you're getting other people sick by going in. I'm the same way. I'd rather go in and muscle through it, but think about the other people you're getting sick. Anyway, we're going to say goodnight to you guys. We're going to get over here and record this promo so Josh can get in bed and hopefully get some more rest. And we all, I know we all thank you very much for coming here for the first show of 2015 and not calling in sick for us as well. So even though rest would have been a better thing for you. Now I can say that now the show's over.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it actually. Our couple weeks break, it was. Especially New Year's Eve. It was, that Wednesday, I'm thinking, damn, do we got the show? I actually had to look because I couldn't remember that if we were actually taking a break for New Year's or not. And so I was kind of in a panic mode for a brief second there because I was, breaking routine as it were. And I'm a creature of habit. So, that it was definitely, red lights and sirens were going off and stuff. So yeah. But no, it's good to be back in the studio and back on the mic. It's having a lot of fun doing this, and the breaks are nice, and it's a nice little change of pace, and it's relaxing and all that. But man, I do like being on the mic and doing these shows. So. Yeah,
this isn't really work, is it?
No,
it's the hardest thing is just making sure you're someplace at the right time.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fun to do. All right, everybody have a great night. Thanks for joining us on the live show. And don't forget, next week, 10 p.m. Central Time, TonyandJosh.com. Good night.
We're back.
Yep, we are.